Welcome back, boys. We're about a quarter of the way through this regular season already. Getting in the full swing of things now. The dogs are dead. But other than that, we had a good weekend of NFL football. We had some very exciting fantasy games, including some games that came down to the wire. Nick, how was your week? Tell us what's good.
I mean, we've done a couple of these so far. I think we've done 2 weeks so far, and we've yet to say, fuck the canned Pams. So I'm here today to issue a formal statement from the Cleveland Steamers in accordance with team captain Odell Beckham Jr. to say, hope everybody had a great week. Hope everybody's in good spirits and good health. And let's get into the recap here, boys.
Does this have anything to do with his long ass interview last week?
Nope.
Okay, this is just a general statement.
Yep.
Okay, all right. Well, without further ado, then let's get into our first game. We have a surprise Kiffin Award winner this week in Wallace Pluto 84, taking down Glizz Mafia with an impressive 150 to 121 victory. Nick, tell us how Wallace Pluto got this one done.
Well, it's really great to see at least one Michigan State Spartan showing up this weekend to play football. Kirk Cousins, pretty solid day. 2 touchdown passes as they were able to kind of squeak by the Lions there at the very end. So Captain Kirk leading Wallace Pluto here to Kiffin Award. Saquon Barkley is putting together an incredible start to the season as he looks basically back to his, Saquon doing Saquon things as he looked absolutely incredible on Monday night. We also had Adam Thielen having himself a nice day here as he was able to sneak into the end zone, 6 receptions for 61 yards. I know Noah was asking for some Thielen production last week. Got it this week, so he can't be mad about that. Mark Andrews here getting absolutely fed in the Baltimore game, which was not something that I personally wanted to see. But Noah was definitely very happy about that as he got 2 touchdowns and a nice 27 points from your tight ends. Always going to be very good. And yeah, this team, just overall, like scrolling down here, just good numbers around from the entire team. Some people putting up some touchdowns and some big games, and just a very, very deserving and definitely something that Wallace Pluto wanted to see and getting the Kiffin Award this week.
All right. On the flip side of that, though, is Glizz Mafia, who had to suffer from the hands of running into the Kiffin Award. And they suffer yet another loss on the young season. Not looking promising for them so far. Pretty much just not great performances throughout. Their wide receivers did play pretty good. 20 from A.J. Brown, 15 from Higgins, and 21 from Lamp. And then the Eagles defense came through, only gave up 8 points to the Washington Commanders. That still is taking some getting used to. But other than that, just kind of some disappointment and just not good performances throughout. Russ is the big storyline, I feel like, for this team. He's continued to underwhelm for them. And yeah, 0-3, obviously not the start they were looking for. We'll see if they're able to figure things out here quickly. But, obviously 0-3 is going to make it hard to make the playoffs. All right, second game we had this week. We had the FrancyFeast in an absolutely exciting, not really, matchup with the Philly Cheekles, scoring the second lowest score of the season in this young season. Only 87 points would be enough to defeat the Philly Cheekles with 84. So Kyler had an okay day. Only 20 points, but that's not bad considering it's a double XP weekend, so you expect him to get like 2. Derrick Henry had 26 points of his own. Nice to see him finally break through this season for this team. That was his first double-digit performance of the season. They had some decent receiver performances, but nothing that great throughout. Obviously, that's how you end up with 87 points. They did pull their defense prior to Monday Night Football to avoid them going negative and maintain their 3-point lead, but still not great. This team definitely still has some improvement to do. We'll see if this is the week they use the waiver wire, but history would say it will not be.
I mean, there's a couple promising things here for FrancyFeast in the waiver wire conversation, considering that in their starting lineup here, Kenneth Gainwell is already off the roster, and they made a couple drops earlier today. So you would expect those spots to get filled up. Maybe hint hint by the waiver wire. Never know. But looking over at the Cheekles here, Justin Herbert kind of gutted through his rib cartilage injury that has got to be extremely painful. And he wasn't able to put up a Justin Herbert-like performance, but gutted through his injury nonetheless. Jonathan Taylor, still kind of relatively quiet to start this season. 71 yards on the ground, no touchdown. Kind of weird seeing the Colts run game kind of fluster as much as it has. But hopefully JT can get back on track here. Jeff Wilson didn't do a whole hell of a lot, as kind of nobody did in that Sunday night game, as it was a complete punt fest. Aside from Cortland Sutton here, who actually put together a very, very nice 97-yard performance on Sunday night, as it was kind of his breakout game with Russ here. And also want to touch on David Montgomery. Even though, Chicago Bear, we hate the Chicago Bears here. You never want to see a player go down with injury. Hoping that David Montgomery is going to be able to have a quick and healthy recovery process. It sounds like he's just day-to-day at this point, so hopefully he'll be back in the lineup for the Cheekles here moving forward. And Chargers defense, 0.97 against the Jags. Jacksonville has a football team again. This has got to be one of the lowest defensive scoring performances that we've seen since we kind of increased the amount of points that a defense can get. So just not a recipe for success here as the Cheekles and only end up with 84 and take a resounding L for this week. Hopefully they can bounce back next week.
All right, moving on. Third game of the week. We got the Pams with a nice, impressive victory, 146-127 over PC Principal. They improved to 3-0. PC Principal falls to 0-3. And Lamar Jackson is really the story in this one. He follows up his 50 bomb from last week with a 40 bomb this week, telling the Ravens to pay him immediately. Unfortunately for this team, though, Dalvin Cook would go down against the Lions with an injury. We pray that he recovers quickly, obviously, and that the Vikings ever decide to run the ball again. And then other than that, nothing like crazy the rest of the way, but just solid performances throughout. Christian Kirk had a nice day, 18 points and a tud. But yeah, in a rough week where not a lot of teams score a lot of points, this would be enough to put them second to the Kiffin for the week. So I think they'll be happy with it. They improved to 3-0. They promised change. So far, they've delivered. Only time will tell if we see postseason success out of it.
Yeah, for PC Principal here, Joe Burrow, pretty solid day against the Jets, as the Cincinnati Bengals just said, fuck it, we're going to throw the ball all day. But the running backs still kind of continue to be a question mark on this team. Alvin Kamara, only 6.8 points, not really what we're used to seeing from him. And it's been kind of a struggle so far this year to find an RB2 for this team here, as Michael Carter really wasn't able to slot in and fill that role this week. Also wanted to touch on the Tyreek and Jalen Waddle little matchup that was going on here, kind of trying to see which one of those two was going to be the one to pop off this week and kind of theoretically fuck the other person over. And it turned out that it was not going to be a Tyreek Hill week, as Jalen Waddle kind of got all the love in the Miami-Buffalo game, as he outscored him by around 12 points. And yeah, also want to touch on Cordell Patterson. Speaking about the running back room a little bit here, maybe Cordell Patterson's going to be the answer here, as he was able to get back on track with a huge 141-yard rushing performance and a touchdown to get himself 25 points. And also the Cincinnati Bengals defense, again, sometimes it's just great to play the Jets. And, coming up with around 30 points here from the defense, Patterson and the Bengals defense tried to carry PC Principal as much as they could, but not quite enough to get over the 140 hump this week. But definitely some some building blocks for this team is hopefully they'll be able to get Keenan Allen back this week and try to get into the win column this upcoming week.
All right. Fourth game of the week, we had FaZe Kev very impressively sneaking out a tight win over Cleveland Steamers, 112-98. And Josh Allen continues to look great. He hasn't put up any crazy numbers that we've seen from other quarterbacks, no 40 or 50, but he's now 3 for 3 on 30 bombs to start the year. And when you come out and play like that and make other teams come and get you, you're going to be hard to beat. Second highest scorer on this team was the Chiefs defense. They held their own, scoring 17 in a loss against Indianapolis. They had some struggles the rest of the way. Will Lutz was 0. He missed 2 field goals. The receivers played pretty good, but no one else really over double digits. Eckler with 10. And yeah, this wasn't the most impressive win, but they're happy with it. 3-0. Sometimes you got to get some ugly wins. And after being in the Toilet Bowl finale last year and losing the Toilet Bowl 2 years ago, I'm sure they're very happy with the start. We'll see if they'll keep it going.
Yeah, my notes here are pretty simple. Thursday was a great day. We went out to Brown's Bar out in Wrigley. You know, I had a couple work friends that are from the Cleveland area. Went to a Browns Bar to watch the game. And let me tell you what, when Kareem Hunt got stuffed at the goal line 3 times, I have to give a quick fuck you, Stefanski. And then Nick Chubb comes in and puts in the 1-yard touchdown. Let me tell you what, that was one of the stiffest, fullest Chubbs I've damn near ever seen in my life. And Thursday, great. The drinks are flowing. Everybody's blitzed. Everyone's having a good time. You know, Thursday was great. And Sunday rolls around. And pretty much everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong. Mahomes, not a classic Mahomes performance, as the Chiefs offense didn't really look on the same page with one another this past weekend. Some miscommunication between the offense and the offensive coordinator, a lot of drop passes here and there, a lot of missed assignments. So not a classic Mahomes game. Going to have to get that sorted out. Joe Mixon here, kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. The Bengals just decided, hey, we're not going to throw the ball, or we're not going to run the ball at all. We're just going to throw it all over the Jets. He actually ended up going out with an injury. So hoping that he's going to be back and ready to go for Thursday night, as he's a big part of this team. And then kind of just like scrolling down the board here, the receivers, we went big on the receivers this week, trying to chase some upside with Rashad Bateman and going out and acquiring Michael Thomas. And that did not come to fruition this week. Michael Thomas actually ended up going out in the third quarter, I believe, with an injury. So hoping that he's going to be okay. Doesn't seem like it's anything serious. Dawson Knox went out with an injury during the Bills, as we were kind of hoping to get some of those Josh Allen points this week. And then, yeah, just overall, not a great performance from the team. Kind of like we mentioned, everything that could go wrong on Sunday kind of went wrong, and that happens from time to time. I remember we put up a stinker performance last year, week 3, where kind of just every shit hit the fan all at once. So hoping that this is a 1-week thing and we can get things turned around, because we've got another big matchup coming up.
Very well said. I'm sure your team will be happy to hear those words of encouragement. All right, final game of the week. We had a dramatic one that this guy is definitely very happy about. Texas size 10-4s came in, took care of business, squeak out the win, 127-122 over sticky mistakes. So let's see how this one went down. Derek Carr came in, started off hot, and then kind of faded off at the end, but still had a solid performance of 23. Kind of same story with Devontae Adams. Obviously, those two are related. Christian McCaffrey played okay, but we'd still like to see him get going. We don't know if it's a him problem or if it's just all running backs this year suck, but we'll see. We're going to continue to monitor that situation going forward. And then Dylan, at first glance, didn't look like he was great, but he was enough to keep Jones in check, which was nice. Kind of the same thing with Gabe Davis down here against Diggs, but he didn't have as much as Diggs, but he did enough to hold him in check. But really, the real problem I have is you look through our receivers, And they kept getting targets, but none of them had over 50% completion rate. Mike Williams 1 of 6 targets. Gabe Davis 3 of 6. This is just you got to catch the ball. I don't know if these are throwaways or what. I don't get to see every snap on Sunday, but we got to do better than 50% completion across the board. That can't be our team leading. But anyway, so we come in to Sunday night. Sleeper doesn't know how to project defenses, but it gave us a 1% chance to win. Denver Broncos defense came and showed out. They played great all game. They gave up a touchdown early, but they fought through the whole way. And then we were down late when I wrote down the names, so I wanted to get them all right. Jonas Griffith gets an interception off a tipped ball. We get a 2-point lead, but then the Niners get the ball back with 99 yards to go, and a touchdown for them would lose the game for us. But then P.J. Locke strips it and gets recovered by Kareem Jackson. We get another 3 points, game sealed for both us and the Broncos, and we take a big win that we needed over the defending champs.
Yeah, the luck the last 2 weeks from sticky mistakes, kind of very opposite of what they were getting last year. So I know they like to call themselves the most unlucky team in the league. Seems like a hyperbole to me, but what do I know? Jalen Hurts here has continued to show out as he has had a very, very impressive start to the season, as the Philadelphia Eagles look like to be an absolute wagon to start the year. But kind of scrolling down here, Najee Harris was able to find the end zone, so that was nice. But they really weren't able to muster a whole hell of a lot else out there in Pittsburgh on Thursday. Jones and Jefferson having a down games here, 3 and 2 points from 2 of the leading scorers on this team is definitely not something that you want to see. And back-to-back kind of dud performances from Jefferson's standard. So hoping for him and hoping for sticky mistakes that they can get that figured out. But everybody else did kind of relatively well. Diggs, 7 receptions for 74 yards. That's not a bad day by any means. Kyle Pitts kind of getting back on track with 5 receptions for 87 yards. Again, it's not incredible, but it's not a bad day by any means. And then kind of just pretty standard scoring going down. Clyde Edwards-Helaire got bailed out by a touchdown. Lions kicker, 6 points, not great, not terrible. And then the Tampa defense in that just slugfest of a game on Sunday afternoon between the Packers and the Bucs, but just wasn't quite enough to get it done this week, as the Texas size 10-4s were able to squeak out a very, very tight victory here.
All right, now wrapping up this week, we will take a look ahead at our week 4 schedule. First up, we got Texas size 10-4s taking on PC Principal. We'll see if PC Principal decides to start their season this year, or if they're just going to keep napping thinking it's the off season. Second up, we got Wallace Pluto 84 taking on the Cleveland Steamers. 2 teams looking to separate themselves early in the South Division. Nick, what are you going to be looking for from the boys this week?
Yeah, no, this is a big game. And everybody in the facility knows it. The one thing that I want to see this week is we've only been able to get out of our kind of main guys, the guys that we've been building this team around over the past couple of years. The only person that scored a touchdown for us so far has been the man Nicholas Chubb. So we're going to need some other people on the team to step it up. Looking at the running backs and the receivers this week, is we're going to need to kind of keep pace with Wallace Pluto. And one big point of emphasis is we can't have Jamar Chase absolutely bend us the fuck over like he did twice last year at the expense of Joe Mixon. Can't happen. Zach Taylor, for the love of God, let's call a running play. That's all I got to say.
That seems reasonable to me. All right, third matchup, we got FaZe Kev versus the Philly Cheekles. 2 teams with complete opposite starts to what their results were last year. We'll see if FaZe Kev is able to stay hot, and we'll see if the Cheekles are able to bounce back from the Lemp Award this past week. Fourth matchup, we got Glizz Mafia versus Sticky Mistakes. This one is always personal, always just a lot of jibber jabber and smack talk going back and forth between these 2 owners. And then speaking of personal, final matchup of the week, we got FrancyFeast and Pams battle. Two former roommates going at it. We'll see who comes out on top.
I always love this matchup of FrancyFeast and Pams. I can't wait. I can't wait.
I think we all can't wait. Any other final thoughts before we get off here, Nick?
Nothing outside of I just can't wait to see that matchup between FrancyFeast and Pams. You know where my allegiance lies there.
I think, yeah, we all know. All right. Have a good week. We'll see you again next week. Make sure you set the maximum value lineup, and peace out.